Hello and welcome, everyone. It's Monday, and that means once again it's time for Monday Grab Bag. Today we're going to be looking at a game by Minakata Dynamics called RAILGRADE. I've talked before about how I've used some terminology that I feel like makes sense to me, but perhaps could uh, use some clarifying to other folks, just in case. And I feel like this game, in addition to being one that I had a great time with back when it released, will also serve as a good example to some of the terms that I use without really explaining them. I think during my stream of Brush Burial Gutter World, I had mentioned meeting the game on its standards or learning to speak its language and that kind of thing. Meeting things halfway and various other metaphors of that nature. And RailGrade is an example of a game that I bought that I was pleasantly surprised by, not because it was, more enjoyable than I expected, though it was, but more that the structure of the game is not at all what I expected, and I was pleasantly delighted by what the game actually turned out to be. A metaphor I've heard once, and I can't exactly place where I heard this, but it was, before criticizing something, ask yourself if you're asking for a milkshake at the hardware store. You know? And so here I am comparing metaphors using new metaphors. I'm doing a great job of this so far. Let's just get into it. Anywho, hopefully everything will make sense by the time we're done here. Ooh, that's a little loud. Okay. RailGrade. Fresh start. Delete all of my progress. Yep. It's been long enough. Nakatani Chemicals.
Congratulations on a safe trip. On behalf of all of us at Nakatani Chemicals, I'd like to bid you welcome to our colony. We have recently identified a...
Hang on. I'm going to... This cutscene is pretty low volume, so I am going to actually quit and then restart the game with volume settings a bit modified here. Because, yeah, that was quiet on my end, too. So, let's see. Unfortunately, I am going to have to poke everything else upward, which also might cause other knock-on effect. No, I won't need to. Okay. This should do better.
Congratulations on a safe trip. On behalf of all
Okay, I think it's just busted.
Chemicals, I'd like to bid you welcome to our colony. We have recently identified a significant opportunity to improve the current infrastructure of the planet, which is why you're here, Administrator.
I have one more theory. Deeply sorry, but if this doesn't fix it, I'm just going to allow the cutscene to go. But
we've come a long way!
Conley Basher just subscribed for 11 months.
My last theory here is that the opening cutscene is actually linked to the music volume. And so while I'm trying to get the main menu music to be a little quieter, I am in fact quieting the main opening cutscenes sounds. Let's see.
Congratulations on a safe trip.
That is a little
On
louder.
behalf of all
There we
of
go.
us at Nakatani Chemicals, I'd like to bid you welcome to our colony. We have recently identified a significant opportunity to improve the current infrastructure of the planet, which is why you're here, Administrator. To help us implement a new mode of transportation, one that once conquered Earth's old frontiers. The railway. It's now your responsibility to grow our network of railways and oversee the management of our most important industries. By developing a transport network for our powerful train engines, we'll be able to easily deliver resources and fuel growth across the planet. Succeed, and our colony will be the envy of the entire galaxy. Fail, and, well, you don't need to worry about the consequences right now. I know you might miss Earth, but don't worry. When you've seen what's possible here, you'll never want to leave. Good luck, Administrator. Everyone is counting on you.
Welcome to our division, Yoshida. Thanks for taking over the colony. I know you had no choice, but all the same, I'm thankful. Remote administration confused me to no end. Back here on Earth, the sun is bright and birds are singing. I'll send you a recording, but interstellar bandwidth is expensive. Please think of Earth anytime the colony air gives you the coughs. Keep your mind focused and make things right. I'm sure they'll bring you back home. Your top priority should be to restart the control terminal. I commissioned the process for you prior to your landing. You just need to complete the 3 test scenarios and you'll be able to build anything you have a license for and salvage anything you've built. You'll be the sole authority of the colony planet. Don't let the power go to your head. Saito, Department Head of Off-World Colonies, Nakatani Chemicals. Welcome to your first region. Let's go over the basics of railway management. When in a region, your current main task can be found here. Keep an eye on your task to help make sure you don't miss key information. Your main task in this region is to export 4 energy. Let's get to work. These structures are geothermal power plants. They are one of many industries which produce energy. This is a Zeppelin dock. Freight can be delivered here for export, contributing to your objective and earning you profit. Before we can export energy, we need to build track, stations, and trains. Let's start with track. Press 1 to select the track tool. With the track tool active, press left-click near a geothermal power plant to start constructing track. Press left-click again near the Zeppelin dock to construct the track. Track does not have to loop for trains to be able to travel along the line. Trains will reverse direction once they reach the end of the line. Next, we need to add stations to our track. Press 2 to select the station tool. With the station tool active, press left-click to construct stations on the track you built, connecting the geothermal power plant and Zeppelin dock. Look for white guidelines to check that you are in range. Buildings in range will turn yellow. Stations let you load and offload freight to and from nearby industries. You can connect multiple stations together to increase their loading and offloading speed. Now that your railway is set up, buy a train and let it roll. Hover your train tool over the track you laid earlier and press left-click to configure your first train. Select an engine to add to your train. Engines drive your trains. Step 2, add 4 energy freight to your train. Your train's configuration of engines and freight influences its stats and performance. When ready, finalize your train to put it to work. Three energy freight trains. energy freights, and 1 engine. Fantastic. You've taken your first step as this colony's administrator. Now watch as your train delivers energy from the geothermal power plant to the Zeppelin dock. Simple as that. Hey Yoshida, good job building that track. The terminal is reporting the trains and track system passed all self-checks. Next I'll unlock the branch control test. Follow the flashing dots in your office's world diagram to the next region. Saito, Department Head of Off-World Colonies, Nakatani Chemicals. I think this might be new. No ghosting. Disable train ghosting. Trains will be blocked when meeting face-to-face. No timer. Time will not be measured. You will always receive the max allowed rank. Always have ample cash. Hey Yoshida, please do not laugh. Truth be told, I tried the self-checks before you were assigned our division. I thought if I could master the control terminal, I could start fixing the colony's economy myself. Instead, I got the self-check region's train stuck. Just goes around and around, never arriving at the station. Saito, Department Head of Off-World Colonies, Nakatani Chemicals. Good job, Saito. This is literally the tutorial mission, my friend. Each train has its own route at each branch in the track. In this region, this train carrying water does not have a clear route to the awaiting city. Select the train by pressing left-click when your cursor is above it and start fixing the route. Now that you have the train selected, you can control the route it takes by toggling the branches. Watch as the yellow chevrons change to show the new route. Alter the train's route by pressing left-click when your cursor is above the blue branches and deliver water to the city. If you need time, you can also stop trains by pressing V. Pressing V on a stop train will start it again. The chevron system here is really nice. Whee! After completing a region, you will be assigned a rank. The time taken to complete a region is the only thing that impacts your rank. Based on your rank for each region, you will be rewarded with a number of vouchers. You can always replay regions from the overworld to try and achieve better ranks and earn more vouchers. Vouchers can later be used to purchase licenses that allow you to use new industries, upgrades, engines, and other extras. Hey Yoshida, thanks for clearing that branching mess. You made it look so easy. Please keep this pace or faster. Faster is preferable. Saito, Department Head of Off-World Colonies, Nakatani Chemicals. So, you might be thinking that this is just a thing related to the tutorial, and that as the game gets further on, the structure will change. But there are a lot of rail-based games that are about, like, delivering between cities and expanding outward infinitely in procedurally generated environments, which is to say, you know, infinite, kind of like how Minecraft always has a new area to go to. But that's kind of the fascinating thing I didn't expect about this game. This is a logistics game that is completely level-based. Hey Yoshida, the manual introduces the self-check as validate combinatory industrial chain handling. By think in plain words, it means to ensure factories use the multiple input freight to create a finished freight, which is pretty important. After all, the essence of any colony's economy is combining inputs and outputs, and sending those outputs as inputs to another factory. Layer that formula many tiers deep and you get yourself an economy capable of sending rockets to space. Saito, Department Head of Off-World Colonies, Nakatani Chemicals. Industrial Chain Primer. Many industries produce outputs which require multiple freight inputs to create. This is a steel mill, one such industry. Select the steel mill by pressing left-click when your cursor is above it to learn more about how it works. The steel mill requires 2 freight inputs, coal and iron, in order to produce steel. When you're ready, press backspace to exit the screen. So there's a coal mine here, there's an iron mine here, and as you can see, level 0 and up 83%, so you know how often it is working. As you can see, there's more intricacies that we can see of how many workers are at the steel mill, etc. This is a coal mine. It produces coals that can be utilized in other industries. This is an iron mine. It produces iron that can be utilized in other industries. Select either the coal mine or the iron mine to learn more about how they work. Iron mines and coal mines both produce their respective outputs without the need of other inputs. They will continue to produce until their storage is full. There are many other resource extraction industries which also produce different foundational freight. When you're ready, press backspace to exit the screen. There's one more critical thing to know about before we put you to work, and that's workers. Select the steel mill by pressing left-click when your cursor is above it to learn more about how they work. Industry must be staffed by workers in order for it to function. The closer they are to being fully staffed, the faster they will produce outputs. You can add workers or remove workers from an industry by pressing F or V. Assign 8 workers to the steel mill. Fantastic. The steel mill is ready to work. Now all we need to do is provide it with iron and coal. Build track stations and trains in order to... Whoops. I double tap space. But yeah, build track stations and trains. It's fine. I wonder if it being all the way at the end there is fine or not. Okay. Boiler engine and iron. A very nice thing that this game does is contextualize, based on its context, will tell you which will offer different resources to you. Which is to say, this is an orphaned line where iron ore is the only possible supply, and so iron train is the only thing that's offered. Iron freight cars. Likewise, this one only has access to coal, so it's coal train. Aga Neka? And yeah, it looks like it's okay to have these at the end of the line. But yeah, I've seen numerous logistics games that involve, like I said, sort of just branching out, kind of like Factorio style to some degree, where there's always more places to go and more to provide, more towns out in the distance. But this game is actually focused very much so more on discrete and hand-designed puzzles. This is a puzzle game. And that's part of why I like about it. It was a very pleasant surprise for me to discover that. Hey Yoshida, yet again you passed that test with flying colors. You were good at this. You must have studied during your trip to the colony. Either that or you're hacking the terminal to report false completion times. Please do not hack company computers. It is against departmental policy. Saito, Department Head of Off-World Colonies, Nakatani Chemicals. Isn't that the... No, that's Nakatomi Plaza, yeah. First job. Hey Yoshida, enough learning, time to put your skills to work. Remember how I failed to pass the validation self-checks? Did you know the validation logic has a remote override feature? I used that manual override to start fixing this region's water export. Considering the situation, I am sure you agree it was a noble action. The results speak for themselves. Sadly, the results speak of disastrous inefficiency. Please fix those results. Saito, Department Head of Off-World Colonies, Nakatani Chemicals. This place is a real mess. We need to get things back up and running optimally. It does, however, give us a good chance to learn some more advanced skills. Looks like this loop of track has collapsed and no longer connects the water pumps to the Zeppelin dock. Let's fix it. While the track tool will try and find a working route for you, sometimes you'll want to have more say over where track is placed. When using the track tool, you can adjust the height of the proposed length of track by pressing F and V. Try repairing this track loop by adjusting the height of the track while using the track tool. You can cancel it in press drive with right click. Let's see what else we can learn here. Let's take a look at this track. Even after the trains have been set in motion, you can still make changes to them to suit your needs. Try selecting one of the short trains. You can configure existing trains by selecting them and pressing Q to open the configuration menu. Note how the Zeppelin dock has a drop-off point of 3 and a loading point of 3 when all these trains are one length. This train could be reconfigured to carry additional water freight. Try adding 3 more water freight to this train, then add an additional engine to help pull the extra weight. Need more. Now it's time to really get to work. We need you to deliver water to the Zeppelin dock. Easy, right? Well, it's not that simple. A few one-off deliveries won't cut it here. We need you to reach a certain export rate of water from the region. Use everything you've learned up to this point to reach your export goal. Oh, I might be misinterpreting how the system works here. Let's take a look. I see. It will load in chunks of 3, but the water pump doesn't create fast enough for that to work. Uh-oh. Was the toggle for no ghosting or for ghosting? Also, oh my god, those birds are mechanical. Those are robot birds. I love robo wildlife. We can get a lot more throughput in this area. Train caterpillars. All right, yeah, we were talking about this before too, weren't we? Okay, those are also water pumps, so... Okay. Triple station here. Triple station here. Triple station here. Triple station here. I will for sure make it happen. But yeah, in our Mars First Logistics stream, we had definitely talked about, Chat and I had definitely talked about our love for treating mechanical biology and treating mechanical things as being critters. Thanks, Administrator. We needed you, and you delivered. You saved our bacon. Chat around here as you arrived at an on an economy class rocket. The same rockets our grandparents traveled here on. I've never heard of a corporate employee from Earth traveling to colony planets by work rocket. He must either be incredibly poor or incredibly humble. Nameless, null of null, location unknown. So, yeah, okay. It's no ghosting is the toggle, and ghosting is the default behavior. I sort of interpreted it backwards. I can't remember whether ghosting was how it was when I played it back near release. Although now that I look at the ghosting, it does look a little familiar, so I think it might have been. But anyway, it's cute that they added this feature, and it's just sort of makes things slightly harder if you feel like that's a bit of a cheap allowance for the game to have. To allow trains to go head-on back and forth without any sort of optimization for multiple trains approaching. Hey Yoshida, good job on the water delivery. You learned the basics of track construction and train configuration. Your colony needs energy and lots of it. Nearby is an idled oil power plant. Connect the surrounding oil wells and spin up those turbines. Export the resulting energy at the Zeppelin docks. Make sure you assign workers to the oil power plant. Industry doesn't work itself. Once those turbines are spinning, you will need to maximize production. Do this by building new railways to all oil wells. Afterwards, consider investing in upgrades for those oil wells. Saito, Department Head of Off-World Colonies, Nakatani Chemicals. Permanent license unlocked. We received a global license file. This license is valid in all regions. In this region, we need to export energy via the Zeppelin dock. This time, however, you'll be utilizing the local oil wells and oil power plant. I noticed that the timer isn't going. Will it as soon as I place? No, it won't. And it's a full refund here, too. Very nice of them. Since the game is all about, like, since the ranking system is about, Kips invited me. Hello. Hi, welcome. Since the game is all about optimizing for speed, and then how much money you use is relevant only for, you know, running out of money for building infrastructure, the fact that you can pre-game by setting up everything and the timer only starts when the first train is placed is a very nice accommodation toward that game design. Also, we got vouchers. Let's take a look at what these actually do for us. The custom engine. Optimized for climbing and speed, slows down a lot during turns. Warehouses for stockpiling items. Geothermal energy. Oil power plants can be upgraded. That's a free one. Different unlockable musics. Oh, you got a license for that music? Okay, we've got lots of oil wells. I note that we do not have any water wells. There is water out here. How do I build a building? Explorer track, station, train, salvage. Maybe they'll tutorialize this in a moment. Okay. Of course, industries do not require workers. Okay, that train is going down that route, and this one is going down this route. Three, 1, 2, 3. Trains have built-in speakers to ward off predators. Very good. Oh, okay. There we go.
To another place.
Yeah, here we go. Nicely done, but there are ways to get higher performance out of your industries. Let's talk catalysts. Select an oil well or the oil power plant by pressing left click when your cursor is above them to learn more about how they work. Catalysts are optional inputs that can be provided to industries that will boost production. Catalysts last 90 seconds, so provide a steady supply. When you're ready, press backspace to exit the screen. Both oil wells and oil power plants use water as catalysts. This is a resource site naturally trained supplies within a region. In this case, we're looking at a source of fresh and clean water. You can extract resources from a resource site by building an associated industry on top of it and then linking it to your network with trains and stations. 5 to enter the industry menu. Here you'll find the water pump and all manner of other industries that you have the license to build. Find yourself a nice spot on top of the water resource site and confirm the location of the water pump by pressing left click. When it comes to industry placement, if it's green, you're good to go. Let's get that blue gold bottled and loaded as freight. Provide an oil well and the oil power plant with water to use as a catalyst. You'll need to build new stations and make adjustments to your network in order to make use of the new water pump. Place new trains or reconfigure existing ones so they can carry water freight. Wonder if this is allowed here. Yep. Nope. That seems like a bad idea. You know what? Sure. Needs must. I wonder if this will understand exactly what to do. Just so. Also nice feature. You can just say clone train. Train game, train game, train game. But yeah, as the game goes on, it gradually introduces more mechanics and more, like, sort of necessary production routes and stuff like that. But the structure of the game still remains in this sort of state of individual discrete puzzles that you solve. That catalyst really boosted our production rates, but there's yet another way to increase the speed at which an industry operates, that being upgrades. This is a voucher exchange. You can spend the vouchers you earn by earning ranks and regions here to gain access to new industries, upgrades, engines, and other extras. Already done it. Select the voucher exchange, press left click when your cursor is above them. I've already done this. Now let's put that upgrade license to use. Increase storage capacity and production rate. Now you know how to use catalyst purchase licenses and upgrade industry. I think you're set to meet this region's energy export needs. Once again, I accidentally double tapped. My bad. So there's actually a bit of a reason that I've been thinking about this game in particular lately. And that is because how to word it? That is because the developers of this game recently, sort of recently, have announced a new game that they're working on called Whiskerwood. And to sidetrack again off of this conversation, there are plenty of games that I play that I distinctly do not stream. There can be a couple of different reasons for this. Some of them are longer term and I don't think would be perfectly suited for streaming just structure-wise. No shade against the game, you know, not every game is perfect for this. Or sometimes it's just a matter of work-life balance, you know? If every game becomes a streaming game, then no games are for you. And so I have a game that I really like that I play on my own time called Timberborn, which is a colony management game about beaver people managing a scorched post-apocalyptic Earth, and as their beavers, creating dams and hydro infrastructure. And Whiskerwood gave me impressions of that sort of game, where it's a game that you are managing a colony of mouse folk that are put onto an island at the behest of their cat taskmasters. And it sounded like that the direction the game was going in is sort of a, how do you balance the increasingly unreasonable demands of the cats versus at what point do you just start fighting back? And as I was signing up for RAILGRADE today, I'm looking at the store page for RAILGRADE and looking at the developers. I realized something shocking. That game's out now. And so, after the stream is done, I am absolutely immediately buying Whiskerwood to go and play it. Timberborn is indeed a damn good time, I can vouch. Out of curiosity, From what I can see, there's distinctly not a speed up game option. No fast forwarding. Instead of fast forwarding, how about you take that time to actually optimize your network with your spare money, you know? Part of it is just, you know, I'm talking a bunch. But yeah, as you can see, we do.
To another place.
See you, Kippers. Assuming that was a I'm heading out to another place as opposed to commentary. Mollusk oil. Finding extraction power. Ah, Justinian. Got it. Skipping station, no freight. Well, I don't want that. Wait until full. Stations at both ends, no supply-demand pair found. I like how the game directly told me that, and I still failed to put a station at both ends. Good job, Moo. I don't know what to spend my channel points on. Yeah, I need to implement more of those. Part of it is just a matter of... Let's see. I love oil. I can't stop drinking crude oil. Part of it is I don't want folks to be able to interrupt the stream a bunch with spammed messages. Unless you're paying me. And the other part of it, because I want to provide some respect to the game, and I don't want... I feel like having a whole bunch of notifications and, you know, screen blocking redeem effects and whatever stuff like that can detract from that. It's not about me. It's about the games. Nonetheless, I am without a doubt a intrinsic part of what makes these streams. I still like to keep the focus on the games themselves primarily, though. And so it's just a little bit of a push and pull on... I can't quite decide on how I want to approach. Not to mention, you know, it takes work. And potentially, if I'm not recording those myself, I need to either find stuff I have the rights to or commission somebody. Perhaps Daria I could, if I come up with another good redeem idea, I could have Daria do more voice acting like she did for a previous work of mine. Yeah, and you could also just highlight all your messages. Does highlighting messages appear in the actual stream element, or does it? No, it doesn't. 10 seconds short. of S rank. Absolutely destroyed. Scrub tier streamer. Thanks, Administrator. We used our portion of the emergency energy to re-establish our network connection. The other region told us you're actually not all that bad. Even said you're humble, which is pretty rare for an Earther. Nice to finally work for an Administrator who's not elitist. Nameless, null of null, location unknown. Workhorse engine. Higher speeds at medium freight length. Never fastest, but a safe pick for busy administrators. Curiosity. Dear Yoshida, you deserve to be doing more than running basic validation tests. The colony needs your efforts making money. Validation is a waste of your talents. Jump into major exports and I'll make sure Saito's terminals claim you did everything according to his plans. He can report of an obedient administrator, and you get to start your legacy. Nameless, null of null, location unknown. Gold shipment. Balance sheet needs attention. Build up your resource extraction industry and export the freight. Earn enough and the short format buffer allocation will overflow, thus marking all tutorial validation regions as complete. Make money now. And so see, this one's a lot more open-ended. And if you clear this, then it says, okay, you don't need any tutorials at all, clearly. But we've got coal, we've got iron, we've got copper. We've got water springs out here. They got silica too, and all of these can individually be delivered to the export dock. Yeah, so it looks like there's no need for... Yeah, there's only first level industries here and not any manufacturing stuff. So we can just go up, up. 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 Or presumably the yen is measured in millions, or it's a joke about the economy being completely alien in the future to our current understanding of it. Silica. Shoutouts to logistics and industry. I like logistics as a concept. You should borrow. Okay, so as soon as we put our first train down, okay, so it's copper, then silica, then water. Copper, silica, water. Then it is oil, coal. That's it. Oil. Two engines does seem to have a bit of trouble climbing those hills. Wonder if I should do a triple engine setup for hill-centric stuff, which appears to be almost everything here. I think I'll keep ghosting on because there's still a bit of a penalty for I just realized that is a lot of money to make very rapidly. I might need to rethink my stations as well. Branching is managed per train. Each train remembers its own branch preferences, therefore you must select a train before configuring this branch. Clone trains carry over branch preferences. to... Looks like this mission is actually kind of about producing a whole bunch of parallel trains all at once, just from what I can tell. So, we will store a checkpoint and go to the overworld. Hey Yoshida, our lawyer secured you a license for the Generalist Workhorse engine from Westminster Tech. You should have already received the notification. I'll assign you a new region which might prove more of a challenge. Sorry for the distance, I'm not good with maps. Nothing hard, just keep the basics of economics in mind. Perhaps most important of all, build multiple railways. Saito, Department Head of Off-World Colonies, Nakatani Chemicals. This is a city. Cities provide workers that can be assigned to the various industries under your control. The number of workers you have access to is dependent on the population of a city. Left click. Increase the population of a city by fulfilling its demands, resulting in more workers for you. City demands water. City demands are water, salt, wire, or steel. Cities have needs. At each level, their demands increase both in variety and volume. To start, the water pumps west of the city can meet the level 0 demands. Once the city levels up, you must also supply energy. Until then, any energy you deliver will catalyze the city to grow faster. Oil power plant. So that wants water and oil, and that will ultimately produce energy that we can use. Making sure these don't overlap. Height should stay up that high. Checkpoint. Well-meaning doesn't do well with maintenance and the actual work. Could be someone who hacked the... Oh. I misparsed your statement, yeah. Null could be a hacker. All Saito's well-meaning but kind of bumbling. Banks can offer you access to additional budget to do with you as you please. Select the bank by pressing left click when your cursor is above it to learn more about how they work. Banks can offer you loans based on your current net profit but charge you interest. You can also deposit excess budget to earn interest. Try to utilize the bank by withdrawing or depositing money. I think I'm doing fine budget-wise, so... Never mind. I might have already checkmated myself. Not quite, but... Yeah, the banks won't touch me because I haven't gained any money ever. GeForce 917 says trains. Hell yeah. Train puzzle game, no less. There we go. Having a positive bank balance will earn you interest. A negative balance will cost you interest. Additionally, your train station and industry structures have an upkeep cost to keep them running, which will count against your revenue. Okay, a lesson that I'm learning right now is stations are expensive. I should be careful about how many of them I place. The slightly increased efficiency of rapid unload is probably not worth the... Ooh. Probably not worth the extra cost of placing them down. Not to mention the upkeep, though. Can't stop shipping crude oil. Okay. Making you want to play Shapes again. I think that's part of the problem, is that I'm treating this game as if it is like kind of in the style of Shapes, which is a problem. Because Shapes is a game that has no economy of any kind. You have infinite access to everything that you have researched. You can place 15 quadrillion shape cutters without issue. And so I was taking that kind of approach here, and that is starting to bite me. Yeah, adding more trains to these water pumps isn't going to change anything. They're both already being completely used. You know what I'm gonna do? Clean slate. I should follow their advice. Start by providing the city with water. Actually do that this time, Moo. As opposed to going, oh, I could supply oil to the oil power plant there. There's an oil well already, so it makes sense to. No, that's how you run out of money. Water the city. Actually, yeah, the uptime measurement is interesting because if you have an uptime that's 100%, that means that the rest of the system is starving. It's a source, and if it is always trying to produce more and is never backing up in supply, then that means that no matter how many trains you throw at it, you're not going to get any more efficiency out of it, you know? Look at me actually trying to recycle. Potential cheap future proofing there by adding another potential unload point, but future proofing is exactly what got me screwed over last time I attempted this, so. Before I do, store checkpoint. Another very nice subtle thing that... Oh, right, it's because I cloned the trains. Never mind. If you were to place a train down without cloning, however, over here, then it would automatically pick the rail routes that would both reach a logistical pickup and drop off point, and also, you know, arrive at the spot that you placed it. But because I cloned the train, they were all trying to go to this station. Ain't any reason I can't use verticality. Well, that's one potential reason. Also, I raised it twice when I could have done one. Or... is that true? Can I fit another in between there? No, I can't. We have almost 4,000 yen, and we have the same amount of population as we did last time, and we're there faster. Range, the uptime... I might be misinterpreting the uptime measurement. Oh, okay, that's why it is. It displays 4 because that's what it can hold, but it can actually do 4 plus 99% of another. So functionally, it's actually a storage of 5. Having a positive bank balance will earn you interest. A negative balance will cost you interest. So we can actually earn money by putting our money into a bank. Stocking away a bit of excess.
To another place.
Okay. Now that we actually have proper infrastructure for this. And we have money stashed away, too. I heard Earth has animals. The city is leveled up. As population grows, the cities level up, they gain additional demands. Select the city and let's see what the new demands are. Now that the city is leveled up, it will also demand energy. Other types of freight could meet this level 1 demands, but the region only has energy available. Trains will stop at any station where loaded freight is demanded or produced freight is stocked. Trains will otherwise pass through. Trains will yell Y when passing a station, so watch for these signs to identify problems. Okay, we absolutely have a problem here. That is an oil train going down this route. That should not be there. I think me using clone train has bit me once again. It'll be a dedicated city water pump. There we go, now the oil train's going where I want to. Select the city. As you can see, the city now has 2 demands that must be met for its population to continue growing. Try fulfilling both the city's demands to continue its growth. I really like the sort of diorama kind of look that this game has. And that diorama feeling is also reinforced through the use of the very unique approach that they take to the world map, where it literally is a diorama with little lights on it, indicating trade routes and stuff like that. I really caused myself some problems by creating this over-arched area here, because in order to go above it, I need to go that high, which I cannot. I wonder if I'm allowed to... Okay, that is one solution here. A straight cross point like that. Turn around, you goofus. Alright. The water catalyst is working miracles here. Even with 2 oil wells, the oil power plant is absolutely shredding through the supply of it. So close, so close. There. And working miracles? Why, thank you. I'm finding this ever so slightly hard to commentate, admittedly. Just sort of quietly enjoying myself, playing with my miniatures. But yeah, hopefully at the top of the show, the metaphors that I made perhaps make a bit more sense now of what I was trying to say. Of when I picked this game up, it turned out not to at all be what I expected it to be. I did not expect there to be discrete levels that are designed with specific challenges that you complete and then move on to another level. Because everything else that I played that was a train logistics game or factory game has been a lot more sandboxy and open-ended. And so I think I might have been initially a little bit annoyed, but once I just sort of went, okay, hold on. As soon as I sort of went, okay, hold on. Let's see what we got here. I started to enjoy it more. Which brings us back to that metaphor I was giving of meeting the game on its terms. Gonna be a nail biter. That train should do it just in time. Super Puzzle Trains 2 Turbo. I suppose that game probably did lead quite a few people to experience the same thing, didn't it? Of Super Puzzle Fighter 2, or Super Puzzle Fighter, rather, is a game that takes place in the Street Fighter setting and with those characters, and is a gem dropping dropping puzzle game. Oh, that's probably a more dramatic example, and I imagine it would be a bit easier to discover. That game's structure is not a standard fighting game fare. In any case, though, S rank. Hey Yoshida, I forgot how to license remote monitoring, so I'll need to trust that you've learned economic optimization well enough. What I do know is the computer says you've completed the tasks and the region is functional. So good for you. Saito, Department Head of Off-World Colonies, Nakatani Chemicals. Little power plants can now be placed. But yes, as you can see, quite an expansive story mode. From the Steam page and the Steam sort of blog updates, this game seems to have gotten 7 major updates since release. And then, as I had mentioned before as well, Whiskerwood, this company's next project, has come out. And as a fan of Timberborn, that seems to be in a similar angle, and I am very excited for it. And so I'm probably going to try that later tonight. In addition, there seems to be a bonus campaign and a sandbox mode, which are both also new from my perspective. In this bonus campaign, challenge yourself to rapidly rebuild and rescue a misplaced colony planet before the court-ordered repossession traps everyone. Heh, that's cute. Expected playtime for the DLC, 9 hours. Or not DLC, yep. Free update. DLC usually comes with the, whether it's justified or not, usually comes with the euphemism, or at least a lot of people here paid for DLC. It's short for downloadable content, so would that even apply here? I think technically not, because, well, the entire game's done. I'm getting too stuck in semantics. Anyway, bonus campaign also exists now. Sandbox mode also exists now. And as always, games are made by people. And while this rolls, let me go and grab from the store page. RAILGRADE is $30 on Steam. There's a link for it there. And so, if this seems like a game you'd enjoy, like, you know, consider it. Although that's... I think I'm getting, like, self-conscious about my speech here. I enjoy it. That's why it's on Monday Grab Bag. Let's see. I do have some plans on what the future of this channel is going to be. One thing I've wanted to do for a while now that I think I'm going to openly state as an intent is I think I do want to play as well older emulated games. I have a copy of some NES games that fit my criteria that I like to highlight of a fascinating experiment in game design, or something that is strange and went its own sort of route, or just, you know, an odd game that you maybe haven't heard of that, nonetheless, I hold dear to my heart. Not every one of those is a modern-day PC game, you know? As a kid, I really loved a NES game called Roller Games. A lot of NES games like Doki Doki Panic. Yeah, that's the level of obscure we're getting to here. Certainly. Now, Roller Games. An NES sort of, I guess, top-down perspective. Dubious, I guess, like 45-degree angle. Platformer game where you are on roller skates and beating up other folks on roller skates and doing platforming challenges and skating down highways. And so you could argue that this game takes place entirely with ice physics. Isometric, that's the word I'm looking for, thank you. And if a platformer that takes place entirely on ice physics sounds like hell to you, you would be right, and that is a reason that a lot of people do not like it. You could argue that maybe that's where some of my ability to handle weird control schemes originates from, but as a wee slime, I never actually finished that game myself. And it's something that I pulled out of the closet, fired up, and finally managed to defeat much later on. But between that and another very special game that I find extremely fascinating, also for the NES. Sometimes a Monday grab bag from this point on might actually involve retro games too. In any case though, I think that might do it for today's stream of RAILGRADE. I have been going long quite a few times lately, so a shorter stream might do me well this time. And also that means I can immediately go to playing Whiskerwood, which again, I am super excited for. I had no idea that released into early access. I thought only the demo was available. But that will do it for today's stream. Thank you as always for joining me. And I hope you all understand what it is about this game that I find fascinating. Just, once again, I have never actually seen a logistics sort of game like this that involves discrete levels and individualized challenges of this sort of structure. And I think that's nifty. Let's see who you can raid on over to. One of my streaming partners, Riverside Wings, currently playing Yakuza 0. Join for... If you're unfamiliar with Yakuza 0, it is a fascinating game in that it can be best described as a main storyline of a crime drama, Yakuza crime drama, and the side storylines of Seinfeld. And just swapping between these depending on whether you're on the main route of the game or not. Fundamentally goofy, fundamentally serious, and swapping between those, sometimes at uncomfortable pace. Until next time, friends.